Close-up filters are an economical alternative to an expensive macro lens. Now, they are available in various magnifications and can be purchased individually or in sets, which generally consist of a +1, a +2, and a +4. Now, the beauty of close-up filters is that they can also be stacked or screwed together, thereby allowing to further increase the magnification factor of the combined filters. Hey everyone, welcome back. And yes indeed, today I want to talk about close-up filters. Now, close-up filters are, as I mentioned earlier, an inexpensive way of doing close-up macro photography without having to spend a ton of money, because you can spend a lot of money on a macro lens which is specifically designed for close-up photography. Where close-up filters, again, they're just basically magnifying glasses, and they just little magnifying glass filters that screw right onto the front of the lens. The cost difference, and again, even used a halfway decent used macro lens, is probably going to cost at least, like for a 50mm macro, probably somewhere at least $100 and up. Where I got a set of 3 close-up filters for $12. It's a +1, a +2, and a +4. So for someone like me that just does it occasionally, and it's a perfect option. But if you do it all the time, maybe not so much. But they do a nice job, again, for the few times. And again, you won't get quite as close with a set of 1, 2, and 4 close-up filters that you will with a dedicated macro lens. The other thing is that they're only designed to do just that, and that is close focus. So if you want to focus your camera back to infinity, you have to take the close-up filter off. Whereas a dedicated macro lens is designed to focus from the closest point all the way out to infinity, making it very versatile. And the other thing, though, about the close-up filters is that you can use them on any lens, which makes that very versatile also. So if you want to put it on a 24mm lens, a 50mm lens, a 100mm lens, doesn't matter, because it just screws right on the front and it works with any lens. So in this video, I'm going to try to keep things as simple as possible. So I will be taking photos using just a single +4 filter on my 35mm lens. Now, I generally try to keep the amount of gear I carry to a minimum most of the time anyway. So I chose to use the strongest filter in this set. So, how much closer will a +4 filter get me than the normal minimum focus of 12 inches on my Pentax 35mm lens when I have it set to 12 inches? Okay, let's start first by confirming the 12-inch minimum focusing distance without using any close-up filter. And I can do this simply by just using my camera's focal plane indicator. The focal plane indicator is a small icon on the top plate of not all but most higher quality cameras. This icon corresponds to the actual location of the film or sensor inside the camera, and is the location where the lens, when adjusted correctly, projects the focused image. This is the actual distance indicator corresponding to the subject distance, not the distance from the front of the lens to the subject. So when I set the distance to, say, 12 inches on the lens, this is where I would take my tape measure if I want to verify my distance to the subject, thereby confirming the point at which the subject comes into sharp focus in the viewfinder of my camera. Okay. Now let's attach the +4 close-up filter to the front of the lens, and let's move the subject closer to the camera. Once I have obtained sharp focus in the viewfinder, I will now take my tape measure again and confirm that my minimum focus, when set to 12 inches on the lens, is now around 9 inches instead of 12 inches, capturing an image that looks like this. So, as I mentioned earlier, close-up filters can be used on just about any lens, and even if set to the same distance on either lens, the result will be different due to the angle of view of each particular focal length lens. Now here's an example of a 24mm lens versus a 35mm lens, both set to 12 inches on the lens. The camera is mounted on a tripod, and the lenses are both set to f8. Now here's the results of the two same lenses with a +4 lens attached to the front of each lens, with both lenses set to 12 inches, but as in the previous demo, the adjusted sharp focus distance is still 9 inches for both lenses with a +4 filter. So as you can see, the angle of view also affects how close the subject looks in the final image. So depending how close you want the subject to look in that final image, a wider angle lens may require a stronger or a combination of close-up filters to obtain a similar magnified image than that of a lens with a longer focal length. Okay, I'm here today at Rancocas Woods. It's a whole bunch of shops, and there's a farmer's market today. So I'm going to put the close-up filter into practical use today. I'm going to use my film camera today. I used a digital camera just for a demo, but we're going to walk around here and I'm going to check out some of the sites. Okay, so now it's time to have some fun. Keeping to my minimalist gear approach, I'm going to take my Pentax MX with only a 35mm lens and just a single +4 close-up filter and visit a couple of antique stores, shooting a roll of Tri-X first pushed to 800 and then another rated at box speed. I will develop both in D76 stock solution. I'll take a shot of a subject without the close-up filter and then the same subject with the close-up filter. Okay, now it's off to another antique store here in South Jersey, this time Smithville Village, and a few shots shooting Tri-X at box speed.